Hey, good Saturday evening, everybody. Welcome back. Got a big update for you on newly issued blizzard warnings and increasing likelihood of southern snow and a potential East Coast snowstorm into next week. We're going to break it down for you in this evening's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Gerald. I'm a meteorology major at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so and hit that bell for the latest notifications. That'll make sure you're the first to be notified about the latest model guidance and a breakdown of that guidance as we continue this very active stretch of weather. Also, go ahead and like the video, consider sharing it with somebody that may find this information useful, and go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right on into things. And what you're looking at right now is our latest European model run, which is showing a very active pattern, a big time snowstorm currently, now a blizzard for portions of the Central Plains. That works through the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic through the next couple of days, and then after that, a new piece of energy likely firing off another storm system right around next Wednesday and Thursday, and that's likely to ride through the deep south and potentially up the East Coast is what some of the latest model data is suggesting. So we'll talk about both of those storms, but let's go ahead and get right to the pressing matter, which is that first storm system. And right now on radar doesn't look very active, but I can tell you in Kansas City, Topeka, back into Salina and Wichita, we've had major pileups on interstates this afternoon. We've had really a travel nightmare as light freezing rain and sleet have begun to fall this afternoon and evening. And as we go through the overnight, this map is going to fill in. And what right now is a light icing event is going to turn into a blizzard by tomorrow afternoon and evening as powerful low pressure cranks up, increasing the winds and blowing around some heavy snowfall. So again, right now, relatively quiet on radar, but expecting this to fill in really throughout the next day or so. And by the time you come back for tomorrow morning's video, you'll see what is going to be a very big time low pressure with plenty of snow, ice, and rain falling on your Sunday, and that will continue on into Monday. Now, this is our latest watches, warnings, and advisory map, and I'll tell you, it is pretty crazy here, right into the heart of the country. These are those newly issued blizzard warnings. You see these orange boxes. Well, they just changed colors on me. Now they're kind of a dark pink box, but right here from northern Kansas City back into central Kansas, heavy snowfall and strong winds on the backside of what will soon become surface low pressure is going to lead to those potential blizzard conditions. And if you're not getting the blizzard conditions, you're still likely going to get some sort of winter weather from St. Louis all the way to Louisville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Washington, D.C., down to Richmond and Roanoke, all under winter storm warnings in the pink boxes, and ice storm warnings issued in these purple boxes into southern Illinois, into southern Missouri, and portions of Kentucky there. So millions of Americans under these winter storm warnings, blizzard warnings, and then winter weather advisories as well in those pink colors. So we're seeing it all out there, a very active scene with this first storm system. And like I said, this could just be a precursor to what could be another round this time next week. Now, this is our latest overall winter storm impact index from the Weather Prediction Center, indicating major to extreme impacts from this snow and ice over the next 3 days. The red indicating those major conditions through northern Kansas, northern Missouri, even into portions of Illinois, and then mixing in some extreme impacts right along, the Ohio River Valley into southern Indiana, into the Louisville area, where extreme ice accretion will be a problem, where 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch plus of ice will bring down power lines and cause basically impossible travel through the region into tomorrow afternoon. And then unfortunately, it gets cold behind it. So this ice is going to linger for a while and will not be a quick event by any means. And then those moderate to major impacts even extending back into the Mid-Atlantic, where we could see a foot or so of snow around the Washington, D.C. area. I think especially just north of D.C., there towards the Baltimore area, where a heavy band of snow is likely to set up and could really dump big time totals. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Let's get into the model data on this storm system. This is our latest high-resolution rapid refresh model indicating what radar should look like really within a couple of hours or after the sun goes down this evening. And as we approach midnight, you'll see in this pink color, that is that ice, that freezing rain continuing from Kansas City back over into central Kansas. But as we go through the overnight and into tomorrow morning, notice that low pressure strengthening, and with that heavier precipitation totals, this is going to begin to accumulate heavy snowfall, potentially heavy sleet in and around the Kansas City area, just south of there on a big corridor from central Kansas through the St. Louis area into tomorrow morning. But on the north side where you're seeing this blue, yeah, that's where it's going to be that beautiful snow. But unfortunately, it's going to be hard to see anything other than that snow with that wind picking up on the backside of the storm. And that will really begin to become a problem during the afternoon Sunday. Here we go. The storm moving eastbound, and with it, that strong cold air advection wrapping around, and this pressure gradient really increasing over Kansas and Missouri. That's going to pick up the wind. That's going to pick up the snow. And we're going to have whiteout conditions for many folks during the afternoon Sunday. And we could even see whiteout conditions from the sleet. It might not just be snow, and trust me, you don't want to be standing outside with ice pellets smacking you in the side of the face at 40 miles an hour. Definitely would not be a good time. So play it safe with this one. Stay indoors. Go ahead and prepare to be inside for a while throughout all of Sunday afternoon as the storm continues to crank up. And on the backside, that sleet changing over to snow for many folks. You can see this nice band of snow Sunday afternoon working through the Kansas City metro, much of the state of Kansas, much of the state of Missouri. And by the time we're waking up Monday morning here, much nicer conditions, but then that frigid air working in. So any snow or ice that's on the ground, it's still going to be there Monday afternoon, even if the sun does make a return. Now, we'll move this east a little bit. The Ohio Valley, big time impacts here as well from all three precipitation types, or I guess arguably all four: snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain, including a small severe weather threat. The state of Arkansas tomorrow, folks, could see snow and tornadoes all in the same day. And that's unfortunately just the way we do it down here in the South, it seems like. And we'll go ahead and time it out for you. All right, this is Sunday morning, about the time the sun is waking up. All-out ice storm beginning to develop across Missouri here from the central part of the state into the St. Louis metro, especially just south of St. Louis. Now, a little north of the city, probably going to be more of a snow event. The city itself, a snow and icy mix for much of the day Sunday. And you can see that here as we move this ahead, that pink moving in, the state of Kentucky, a nice thump of snow and sleet on the front side. But by the time we get to the afternoon and evening, what was once nice snow changing over to an all-out icy mess during the afternoon and evening hours. And now to the north of there, from Springfield into Indianapolis, extreme northern Missouri, and into the heart of Ohio, this is just going to be a nice, beautiful band of snow where you won't have to deal with too much mixing this far north. And we once again could see more than a foot of snow in isolated places, with just about everyone probably getting at least half a foot to a foot out of this storm system as it cranks up. And down here, you see these little supercells. Yeah, there's a tornado threat from the Mississippi River Valley into Arkansas, Mississippi, potentially as far north as Memphis, and all the way back down into the Shreveport area of Louisiana. We're going to see it all with this storm system Sunday afternoon and evening, and we'll be tracking it here for you, definitely keeping you up to date. It continues, though, Sunday night. Sunday's not the end of it. Check out this heavy ice into Kentucky, right along the Ohio River Valley. Louisville getting in on big ice, Lexington big ice, heavy snow up into Cincinnati and Indianapolis. And on the backside, as that cold air rushes in, what was once ice, changes over to a nice bit of snow here through the state of Kentucky on the back end there Monday afternoon and evening. And you see all of that beautiful blue showing up on the map. Now let's go even further east. Again, the Ohio Valley's not the end of it. Let's bring it to the mid-Atlantic, where we're also going to see big snow and big ice impacts out of the storm system. Here we go. Sunday afternoon and evening is when it really begins to go downhill. A nice thumping of snow on the front end of this storm system. This is Sunday evening here into central Virginia. Still relatively dry for most of us, but it's overnight Sunday and into Monday that the storm begins to approach you. This just after the midnight hour. Heavy snow into northern Virginia, just about the entire state of Maryland, especially the northern half of the state, northern West Virginia, and ice breaking out into the mountains of Virginia. The southern mountains of West Virginia, specifically those eastern facing slopes where that cold air damming will really help to kind of lock in that ice into place, and that continues during the early morning hours. This is about the time we're waking up on Monday. Snow falling from Philadelphia to Baltimore to DC, where we could see big time snowfall totals in that area, including the Delmarva, southern New Jersey, and ice beginning in the Appalachia chain from North Carolina all the way up into southwestern Virginia. Heavy ice totals, potentially upwards of half an inch in some isolated spots there in Virginia, probably about a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch in North Carolina. And the storm continues through the afternoon Monday. Probably going to get a little bit of a lull in the action, I think, around late afternoon and evening on Monday. But don't get too excited, because then the back end of the storm comes in. The storm kind of cranks up off the coast, and a big band of snow as this is pulling away Monday overnight into Tuesday. This could drop an additional couple of inches of snow on top of whatever already fell prior to this during the day Monday. And then this will get us late Monday into early Tuesday as the storm pulls offshore, and a nicer Tuesday in store for this part of the country. Now, what about totals here? Let's go ahead and give you the latest here. We will start out into the Central Plains, and let me blow this up for you so you can see it a little bit better. This is straight from the National Weather Service, folks, going for more than a foot of snow in these kind of purplish colors just north of Kansas City, back out into central Kansas, and then north of St. Louis. All of these areas could see 12, 13, even up to 14 inches of snow, and everywhere kind of in between in that same range. Right around 8 to 12 plus inches is going to be the big theme. Now, Kansas City, probably going to be closer to the lower side of that, maybe half a foot or so from the entire storm, including the snow, the sleet on the front end, and then the snow on the back end. St. Louis, probably around that as well, maybe a little bit closer to 4 or 5 inches, especially in the southern half of the city, where this will be more of an ice event. And even some good totals here back into Nebraska, 3 to 5 inches, definitely enough to make the ground white out there on the prairies in the heartland. Now we'll move it further east again here. Or actually, before we do that, my bad, let me show you the ice as well and zoom this in a little bit. Heavy ice into southern Kansas, southern Missouri. We're going for half a inch of ice in places. That's more than enough, as we've already seen today, to cause plenty of travel issues, power outage issues. We'll see it all here into the Central Plains from Kansas into Missouri. Especially down here in southern Missouri. I'll add that. I think down here near Farmington, I wouldn't be surprised to see more than half an inch, maybe 3/4. Isolated places getting close to an inch of ice. Not impossible with those heavy precipitation rates in that pocket of very cold air at the surface. Again, going to cause major concerns. Now let's move it east a little bit here and give you the latest data for the Ohio Valley. Like I said, I think north of St. Louis here into Springfield and kind of this corridor into central Illinois, central Indiana, we're going to see a good half a foot to a foot plus for many folks. Isolated spots cracking the foot marker. Many of us right around that 8 to 10 inches or so. You start getting south though, this is where the ice mixes in into central Kentucky, where it's going to be more of a 2 to 4 inch event with mostly sleet and freezing rain, and then some snow on the back end and the front end. So total about 2 to 4 inches out of this. But the biggest snowfall totals into central Ohio, central Indiana, and central Illinois, including places like Indianapolis, Springfield, and Cincinnati, with lower totals as you go further south towards Louisville. Now, ice will be also a big time concern here. You can see these ice totals on our model. Half an inch is going to be a widespread number here into southern Illinois, southern Indiana, right along the Ohio River, and same story into the heart of Kentucky. Like I said, for Kansas and Missouri, this will cause big power outage issues, nearly impossible travel. And to remind you, the cold air coming in behind this, it's not going anywhere. It'll stay frozen out there for quite some time, and that could be important for next week's forecast. This could really keep things chilly over here, and that could enhance some cold air for our next storm system by next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Mid-Atlantic, big snow here as well. Like I said, I think the biggest total is going to be in this corridor from kind of right around Baltimore into the Delmarva, where we could once again see nearly a foot of snow for some folks, but most of us going to be in that 8-inch, maybe 10-inch range. DC, a tough forecast. Sleet going to probably mix in at times, so you might be closer to 5 or 6 inches. Philadelphia, not going to deal with ice concerns, but the question is how much snow makes it that far north. Probably, again, right around that 5 to 6 inch range. Pretty similar to what DC will probably see out of this storm system. And I think a good one here into Delaware and southern New Jersey, where you're going to get prolonged periods of snowfall out of this storm system. All right, ice here also going to be a concern, especially into the mountains of Virginia, southwestern Virginia. A tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch of ice may change back over to rain, probably will back into the mountains of North Carolina, starting as ice. How long will it last? That's the question before that warm air begins to erode the cooler air at the surface that is causing that freezing rain concern. How far north does that rain line get? That'll definitely play a role in this. But either way, big ice storm into southern West Virginia and the mountains of western Virginia, Commonwealth itself there. All right, folks, that's the first storm. Obviously, plenty of problems there. What about the second storm? And I'll tell you, the models have really honed in this afternoon on what could be a big time storm right around this time next week, even a little bit before that. So not far from now, by the time we're done with this storm, we'll only be a couple of days away potentially from the next one. So here's the setup. This is our latest GFS model. And we'll get this into Wednesday afternoon and evening of next week. We've been talking about the setup. It's all going to come down to these two pieces of energy out west. You see this southern area? This is what we call a Baja low. It's just a big area of low pressure, an area of cooler air, and storm energy is another way to look at it over Baja California. Now, this northern piece, what is going to try to do at least is come down and pick up this Baja low and kick it east, and the two are going to try to mingle up together, and you're going to get one piece of storm energy, another piece of storm energy, and combine the two, and that could lead to potentially a big storm in the south and up the east coast. Now, how they merge, how they tangle up, that'll be the key to how big this storm could get, how strong it could get. But if I just move this ahead a little bit for you, notice on this evening's GFS, and this is brand new. In fact, it's running at the time that I'm recording this, which is only a couple minutes before it gets posted. So this is brand new information. Notice the GFS really tangles these two up, and we get this very positively or I guess neutrally tilted trough by next Friday evening, meaning this storm is beginning to get strong, it's beginning to crank up, and then it tries to turn negatively tilted as it works east and up the east coast. And I'll tell you, folks, a look like this, you see this little area? This is strong energy riding up the northeast coastline. This would be favorable for a nor'easter by next weekend into the northeast and could, really blanket millions of folks in snowfall from the mid-south through the Ohio Valley and up into the northeast. Now, that's what the model shows. Is that what's going to happen? That's kind of what we're going to need to figure out, but I'll go ahead and show it to you, and this is new to me too. We're going to analyze this together for the first time. All right, here we go. This is the first storm. We just talked about that one. Here comes the next storm. Snow beginning to break out over Texas by next Wednesday as that energy begins to get kicked east. And this is by Thursday morning. You'll notice a pretty good signal for snow over North Texas, portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the question will be how much cold air gets down here, how far south into Texas will we get snow, and I'll show you the ensembles in a second. They're pretty favorable for Texas snowfall, even if this run looks mostly like rain here. I think there will be some good snow. Snow beginning into Little Rock, Arkansas, up into portions of the Mid-South. And by the time we get to Friday morning, we've got an all-out winter storm on the GFS model from Oklahoma through Tennessee up into Kentucky, portions of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. We've even got snow into portions of the Carolinas on this model run, an I-85 North event showing up here Friday afternoon. And then we keep it ahead. That warm air begins to erode some of the snow in the Carolinas. We're running into an icy mess up into the Triad, up around Raleigh, snow in Virginia, snow in the Ohio Valley. And then as these pieces of energy really kind of tangle up here, the storm strengthens through the northeast by Saturday. And we've got an all-out nor'easter on the model Saturday evening with a full-blown winter storm on long portions of the I-95 corridor, inland into the northeast, and that really cranks up along the coastline. And it's Snowmageddon on the model run. Now, again, will it happen? We'll see, but definitely favorable trends this afternoon. I'll show you the European model, and basically it's showing the same thing now. The models were finding out a couple days ago. Now, by Saturday evening where we are, both of the models show these pieces of energy merging up. Again, the question will be, how do they do it? How quickly do they get to that negative tilt, meaning the storm is kind of at peak intensity? If it hits that negative tilt right over the northeast, like the models have suggested today, that could promote a big nor'easter. If it takes longer and it doesn't get there till it's over Maine, then a weaker storm system. So a lot to figure out still. The ensembles are still going to kind of go through their runs. It's going to ingest more data. The storm system's still out over the Pacific. the main piece of energy here. So we've got time to monitor it, figure it out. But the European does show a similar story here. By overnight Wednesday into Thursday, a winter storm over Texas, Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas, full-blown winter storm into Tennessee. By Friday afternoon, same story for Kentucky, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and then this really cranks up as it moves east through next weekend. And we've got, once again, a full-blown winter storm into the Northeast. And here comes that coastal low pressure cranking up on the European, getting big-time snow into portions of the Northeast with near blizzard conditions only about a week or so from now, and then pulls up into Canada. Final thing I'll show you. These are the ensembles. So operational runs, those are great to look at. What are the odds that this actually happens, though? What are the odds we see accumulating snowfall? Well, this is the European ensemble, and it's pretty excited about the idea. Here's that snow signal over Texas by Wednesday, Thursday, and then continues to increase. Check this out. This model is going for a nearly 80% chance of accumulating snow along the Red River Valley, down into Dallas, back out towards central Texas. So high probability event there, then gets it into Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia, and then brings that snow signal up into the Northeast where things become a little more complicated and the signal drops somewhat. But for a week out, folks, that's a solid signal here on our European ensembles. And we'll show you the GFS. Let's see if we have the latest run. Not quite. So we'll show this afternoon's ensemble run, which, still good data to use here. And here's the signal. Signal down into Texas by Wednesday, Thursday, Arkansas, and into the Tennessee and Ohio Valley by Friday, Saturday. And big signal here for Appalachia from West Virginia down to North Carolina, into Kentucky, Tennessee. Strong snow signal on the GFS model, and then cranks it up into the Northeast. So that's the latest here for you on what is a whirlwind of winter storms here. We've got the big one now with blizzard warnings, and then we've got potentially another big one brewing by this coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All right, folks, y'all have a great one. Stay safe. Come back again for more updates. I'll see you all next time.